Echo Park, a new beginning, let's go. Started back rocking the brown. Ever since we've been knocking them down. Baby said she wanna go to the game. Taught her how to say Padres gang. Started back rocking the brown. Ever since we've been knocking them down. Mitchell and Ness with the old school name. All of the homies holler Padre gang. Yeah, that.
And hey, everybody, welcome to a new day. It is the Talking Friars Padres versus Brewers pregame show for June 3rd, 2022. I am your host, Ben Fadden. Hopefully, you can hear me well. Padres coming off a terrible loss, probably the worst loss of the season, I would think. Can't think of another loss that was as crushing as that one. Taylor Rogers on the mound, a 3-run lead. Can't get anyone out, and then you give up a bases clearing extra base hit to Jace freaking Peterson, and then Chris Mack comes in, first batter, walk-off single. And by the way, it was to a guy in Andrew McCutchen who I thought the Padres should have gone after in free agency this year. So just a real crappy game. But I'll talk about that and motions of that on the series reaction episode after Sunday's game. It's a 4-game series, not a 3-game series, so I have to wait a little bit for that. But for today, the good news is that Joe Musgrove's on the mound, right? I mean, they've lost 4 in a row. They are 2-7 in their last 9 games now. After yesterday's loss, 30-21, the Padres are. The Brewers are 33-20. Brewers are in first place in the National League Central. Padres are in second place in the National League West, 4 games back of the Dodgers, because I believe the Dodgers won last night against the Mets. So, yeah, Padres lost a game. With getting back to the Joe Musgrove point, it's good that he's on the mound, right? He's been the Padres' best pitcher. The only problem is that Corbin Burns is on the other side of things, right? That's not great, especially for an offense. Yeah, cool. They scored 4 runs last night, but 2 of those runs, 2 runs? Yeah, 2 of those runs came from Jorge Alfaro, that home run that he hit to center, and he's not in the lineup again tonight. It's Austin Nola hitting ninth. So Will Myers is not in the lineup again, dealing with the knee issue. I don't know if he's going to go on the injured list, but he hasn't played in a few days. Um, what was the last game he played? Was it? It was what? Today's Friday. Was it Wednesday? I think it might have been Wednesday. Because Mazzara obviously played yesterday, and then Mazzara, his Padre debut yesterday, he had 2 at bats, came out of the game after the second at bat. I don't know why he was having good at bats. I'm thinking it's probably because of matchups, but I personally would have left Mazzara in. That's just me. Azokar still came through. I think he came through. Anyway, that's not the point. The Padres still lost, but Mazzara's back in there. His second start as a Padre. Another thing in the minor leagues, real quick, wanted to touch on that. Robert Hassel III, he's on the COVID list for High A Fort Wayne, so he's going to be out, I think, for 10 days, and so he's not going to be sent up to Double A. And that was the whole speculation, right, between Padres Twitter, because the San Antonio Missions, Padres Double A affiliate, they tweeted out on Wednesday, like teasing that there was going to be this roster addition coming Friday morning. No player was called up. There was no roster addition to the San Antonio Missions. It was a freaking Puffy Taco, or whatever the heck it is, their mascot coming back. So I'm pretty sure they irritated me. They irritated some other Padre fans because they thought that Hassel was going to be brought up, and that was going to be a good sign because he's taking steps towards reaching the big league club for a team. He's not going to impact the team this year. I'm not saying that he was ever going to, but when a top prospect gets called up from high A to double A is probably usually the best level in minor league baseball in terms of the players, like prospect wise. Because AAA, usually those 4A players, right? Veterans, guys that have been in the league. And usually those star prospects are in AAA for a little bit and then they get called up. Or they get called up to the big leagues and then they go back to AAA if they need some refining, like CJ Abrams. But Hassel on the COVID list not being brought up, a little bit of a disappointment that the Missions did that and they're bringing back a mascot. Like, you didn't have to tease Padres fans that roster addition's coming and then, oh, no, it's just Puffy the freaking taco that we're going to bring back. Like, come on. Anyway, let's get back to today's game. Musgrove on the mound, Corbin Burns on the other side of things for Milwaukee. Musgrove's coming in with a 1.86 ERA, coming off 6 innings and 1 earned run allowed in his last start. He has not allowed more than 2 runs in any start. I think all of them have been quality starts, his first 9 starts of the season. He has not faced the Brewers yet this season, but he's faced some other pretty talented lineups. So, look, Musgrove, I'm confident that he'll be able to get through the Brewers lineup. I mean, Manaea was pretty good yesterday, you know? Really good, I think. Well, he gave up 1 run. It was Taylor Rogers that blew it in the 9th. 7th and 8th inning, guys, Manaea went 6. Garcia and Suarez in the 7th and the 8th inning pitched well, and then Rogers sucked. Eric, what's the pick? I will get to that a little bit. Hold on one second. For Corbin Burns, he has a 1.95 ERA going in. He's allowed more than 3 runs in just 1 start so far this season. 8 of his last 9 starts, he's allowed 2 or fewer runs. So he's Corbin last year. It feels like it's going to be a bullpen battle today for me. When you obviously have Musgrove against Burns, 2 really, really good starting pitchers. You feel like there's not going to be a whole lot of runs. Maybe it comes down to whose defense is better today. Maybe there's a single, someone gets to second on a bunt or something, and an outfielder makes an error or something happens with that, and that's the difference in terms of the starting pitcher's lines and all that and who gives up more runs. Doesn't have to be an earned run, but who just gives up more runs. That might happen. But this is definitely going to be a game where it feels like it's going to be a pitcher's duel. But I mean, it's kind of crazy. Every time I feel like I say that, it's like 6-5 instead of 2-1. But you can't really say anything other than that when you look at the numbers of these 2 guys going into tonight's start. By the way, before we continue, at Talking Friars on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. On Twitter is the in-depth game highlights. Not in-depth, but consistent game highlights for all the games that I'm not attending. And so I'll be clipping those highlights tonight. There's a ton going on. Softball World Series, NHL playoffs, the Rangers in Game 2. NBA Finals was yesterday. June is one of the best sports months of the year. And then obviously the Padres. And then I hope you subscribe to this YouTube channel. We're over 700 subscribers. I appreciate everyone's support. Daily Padres content for anyone tuning in new here. I hope you subscribe. Anyone that's in here that isn't new, that hasn't subscribed, what are you doing? I hope you subscribe. Daily Padres content. Turn on those that notification bell so that you don't miss any content. Daily pregame shows, postgame reactions, series reactions. Try to get interviews every week. This season, I've already talked to Heath Bell. I've already talked to Kurt Bavacqua, Lauren Shahadi of MLB Network. That was probably my favorite interview I've ever done. Just talked with Tim Haggerty, the El Paso Chihuahuas AAA Padres affiliate, their broadcaster, yesterday before Nomar Mazara debuted, talking about what he might bring, updates on CJ Abrams and Jose Castillo, and what happened with Lamet, what's happening with Ryan Weathers. All of that is on episode 176, I believe. So go check that out on this YouTube channel and on the podcast platforms. Speaking of CJ Abrams, holy cow. Did anyone see that play that he made last night? Holy. Made the play, 5-5 hole, bare hands it in the outfield, in shallow left field, and throws it jump throw Jeter style to first and gets the runner. I don't think there's review in AAA, so maybe he was safe, but holy cow. That was an amazing play. I still think he should be an outfielder, but that just shows how talented CJ Abrams is. You didn't need me to tell you that, but go look it up on Twitter. The El Paso Chihuahuas Twitter probably has it. I know it's on my Twitter timeline. Um, but yeah, that was a tremendous play from CJ Abrams. Moving to the bullpen situation for tonight. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. So Taylor Rogers, Luis Garcia, Robert Suarez, and Nabil Crismatt all pitched yesterday. They all pitched. So I would think that they'd probably try to stay away from Suarez. But Garcia, I mean, with Garcia, I think they'll be able to use Hill for matchups, Stammen, Wilson, whatever. Yes. With Rodgers, I know there's the question of do you put him right back out there after sucking yesterday? And I personally, the answer is yes. Taylor Rodgers is your closer. And Bob Melvin feels like the guy that says, I trust you. Yesterday, it was a blip in the radar. Yeah, totally understand. But I want to make sure you know that I trust put you there, right back out there if there's a save situation, and you're going to get these 3 outs for me. I'm not saying you have him do a 5-out save, but put him out there for that 9th inning. If he blows it again, okay, then Crismatt, maybe you're the closer now. Or Garcia, maybe you get a closer opportunity, right? Because I do feel like, the Dodgers, yeah, they got swept by the Pirates, right? And thank God that they did. But if the Padres continue to lose, the Dodgers are not going to continue to lose. So that gap between the Padres in second place and the Dodgers in first place is only going to widen. And right now, the gap, I believe, is at 4 games. It was at 3 games entering last night. So if the Padres, can't win a game in this series, I think they're going to win at least one. I went in saying that they should win 2 and split because especially getting swept, by did they just get swept by? I'm blanking right now. Um, Holy cow. They just got swept uh, by the Cardinals. Duh. Jeez, Ben. I just woke up. Sorry. Um, but yeah, they just got swept. So coming up with the Mets this next series, and then you got the Brewers now. You got winning teams all over the place. So you can't just keep make excuses of, oh, we're playing good teams, right? No, you gotta win these games. And so getting back to the Rodgers thing, I would put him back out there personally. Um, if I was Bob Melvin, I would say, hey, I trust you. I'm putting you back out there. If you don't get it done, okay, then we're probably gonna have a conversation. But if you do get it done, well, look, then you get confidence back, and it's a good look on me, right? For the lineups, let's see. Let's look at the lineups. I don't know if Milwaukee's lineup is out yet. Last time I checked, it was not. Oh, it is out. All right, so the Padres lineup: Profar, Cronenworth, Machado, Hosmer, Voit, Mazzara, Ha-Sung Kim, Trent Grisham, and Austin Nola batting ninth. I know Nola usually catches Musgrove, so I can't really say anything with that. If Musgrove's pitching this great, you put Nola as the catcher. But and Voit, I guess, is playing well as the DH too, hitting well. So I guess you can't be totally mad at Alfaro not being in the lineup, but it kind of does not make a whole lot of sense when he just hit a home run last night and he's 5 for 10, I think, in his last 5 games. It's 6 for 12, maybe. He's hitting 500 in his last, I think, 5 games. So it felt like, yeah, you put him in the lineup. But considering the circumstances, who's pitching, Voigt's hitting pretty well, I understand. But yeah, Profar, Crony, Manny, Haas, Voit, Mazzara's back in there in right field after 2 at-bats last night, hitting 6th. Kim is back in there at shortstop. Alcantaro's at shortstop last night. Grisham's hitting 8th in center field. And Austin Nola is the catcher, batting ninth. Not a whole lot to talk about there. Mazzara, from what I saw out of him last night, he had 2 good at-bats. I liked what I saw out of him, and hopefully he can keep that going. Definitely has the pop. Tim Haggerty was talking about the power that he had yesterday in that interview that I did with him, and you could see it. Even the fly out to center, even when he was fouling off pitches, I think it was his second at-bat, you could just see it was a difference between him and Cano, obviously, right? Mazzara's 27, Cano's 39. So you could tell the difference. So maybe you see some hits come in and fall through if, there's a nubber or something, and even when there is a nubber, it can go into shallow out and into the shallow outfield for a hit, where Cano would be a shallow pop up to the infield. So that's the Padres lineup. Um, Milwaukee, Colton Wong on the mound, Colton Wong leading off. Luis Urias hitting second, Yelich hitting third, McCutchen in there after the walk-off fourth, Tellez hitting fifth, Tyrone Taylor is in there at hitting sixth, Jace Peterson, the guy that killed Rogers last night, hitting seventh, Victor Caratini, who got hit by Rogers last night, hitting eighth, Lorenzo Cain batting ninth. That'll one what to watch for me, just off the top of my head right here, is the Caratini versus Musgrove matchup. Because Caratini, remember, he caught Musgrove's no-hitter last year. He knows Musgrove pretty well, it feels like now. So, how will Musgrove approach Caratini at the plate, and how will Caratini do against Musgrove? Will he be able to get a hit or an extra base hit? Right? Because he knows Musgrove, and he might know how he attacks. Maybe he doesn't know how Musgrove attacks him, but definitely knows a lot about Musgrove. So I would watch out for that. And then, because it's Musgrove's first time facing Milwaukee this year, just see how he does. I talked about the errors in the bullpen probably being the difference today because of it being a great pitching matchup with Corbin Burns against Joe Musgrove, 2 elite pitchers. Can they finish the job? If they get a freaking lead, can they hold the freaking lead? You're up 4-1. You can't lose that game. You don't need me to tell you that. And these games, those are the games that piss you off the most, is the games that you're up 4-1 in the ninth. Games that you have the lead and you can't finish it off. Those are the games. I mean, if you're up 2-1 in the third inning and you end up losing 7-2, right? Yeah, you're mad, but you can't be pissed off, right? Your team, you can be pissed off, I guess, about the offense, but considering the circumstance, I guess whatever the circumstance was. But when it's 4-1 in the ninth inning, I mean, come on. That's where you can get pissed off. So, can they finish it if they have a lead? And then Mazzara starting, see how he does. Let's see. I want him to start every series. You call him up. He was hot in AAA. You play him every day. Will Myers is nursing a knee injury right now. I'd rather have Mazzara in there than Alcantara hitting or pinch running, or I'd rather have a Zokar in center instead of him in right taking at bats away from Mazzara, if you get what I'm saying there. Like, play Mazzara. He should be playing every day. My Padre pick, Eric, he was asking for that. Yesterday, it was Jake Cronenworth. He went 0 for 4. Today, I'm going to go with Eric Hosmer. So I'm 31-15 so far this season in my pregame show Padre pick. Haas, I think, is hitting .333 off Corbin Burns so far this year. That's pretty much like the best that you're going to get opposition-wise in terms of, the other team, other players, the Corbin Burns' opponents hitting against him. Left on right matchup. So I'm going to go with Haas. I don't feel confident in that, but it's not like I was going to feel confident in any other pick that I would do. All right, let's get to some comments here. I see some people in the chat have been talking here. Let's see what's up. JD's third says AJ Tingler Preller is not the right person for the job. 8 years is enough. He cannot assemble winning rosters, develop talent. Well, JD's third, to be fair, right now the Padres have a winning record. They're 30-21. So, despite yesterday, the Taylor Rogers move has been a tremendous move. I understand that he sucked yesterday, but they fleeced the Twins in that deal. Brent Rooker could come up and help the team as well. Paddock has Tommy John surgery, and I'd rather have Rogers than Emilio Pagan. So he won that trade. You know, Luke Voigt isn't looking great right now. I mean, he's been better, but in terms of overall this year, that hasn't looked great. Hopefully, Justin Lang doesn't turn into Nolan Ryan. I understand your point. The Bob Melvin hiring, you gotta give him credit for that, thinking outside the box, and then bringing in Ruben Niebla, because remember, Preller had the Ruben Niebla hiring before Bob Melvin was the manager, I think. Bob Melvin approved it, and Preller asked him about it, but he thought of Niebla before Melvin came in. So you gotta give him credit for that, because Niebla has fixed Mackenzie Gore. He's helped out this pitching staff, which is the best in baseball, I think, right now. The starting rotation, I mean. And again, he did trade all-star closer on opening day. I think you gotta give him a little credit there. He is without their best player. Let's remember that. And he did not make the Doms, or actually, I can't really give him a whole lot of credit for that because the Mets were the ones that nixed the Dom Smith deal. It wasn't him. But I guess you get my point. Like, there's still Hosmer on this team, and he's one of the best players on the team this year offensively. Um, oh, breaking news. Breaking news. The Padres have placed Will Myers on the 10-day injured list. Breaking news from the Padres. Will Myers, 10-day IL, retroactive to June 1st with knee inflammation. In a corresponding move, the Padres have recalled outfielder Brent Rooker from AAA El Paso. All right, so 2 new Padres outfielders, Brent Rooker and Nomar Mazara, in the last couple days. So, all right, so the Padres have gotten a young power bat on their roster, on the Major League roster. Will Myers on the 10-day injured list. So I would expect Nomar Mazara to play the rest of this Milwaukee series and Brent Rooker be available off the bench as a bat. And maybe he DHs one of these games in this series on Saturday or Sunday with Luke Voigt just being a bench bat. But with Brent Rooker, so I mean, with Will Myers, right? Will Myers dealing with that knee injury retroactive to June 1st. Not really a surprise that he was put on the injured list because, quite frankly, I think the Padres are pretty confident that Mazara can hold, hold water while Myers is done. I think they're more confident in him than they were in Trace Thompson. And then with Brent Rooker, he did have an injury in the minor leagues this year, but he has been back. And so far this year, in 26 games with El Paso, he's hitting .242. He has a .357 on base percentage and a .568 slugging percentage. His OPS is .926. He's got 13 extra base hits, 4 doubles, 9 home runs. He's driven in 23 runs. He's struck out much more than he's walked, but he seems like the typical power hitter. So Brent Rooker being called up. Let me know in the chat your reaction to this breaking news. Will Myers on the injured list, 10-day IL. Brent Rooker has been called up to the big league roster. Yes, Sky. Brent Rooker is coming. Yep. So right now with this outfield construction, I mean, so you got Profar as the left fielder, Grisham as the center fielder, Mazzara as the right fielder, Azokar filling in center field sometimes. I would think that it's Rooker and Mazzara as the right fielders right now. Because the Padres like Profar right now in that leadoff spot. And with Rooker, I don't know if they have the minor league splits of the amount of games that he's played in right field this year. But getting back to Will, I mean, it's not a surprise that Will Myers is on the IL. When you don't play in back-to-back games, they have Nomar Mazzara start, call him up because of Cano being gone, and then they don't bring Myers in. They bring a Zokar in behind Mazzara last night. You kind of probably knew that something was wrong, and then Myers wasn't in the lineup when I saw it today. Um, you figured something was up, like because now you're facing what 3 or 4 days without playing, and so it's like okay, might as well put him on the IL. Like okay, so he's gonna miss 5 more days, 6 more days. Okay, bring up Brent Rooker, see what he has. And then if Rooker plays well, you can say, all right, Will, take your time, go on a rehab assignment, make sure this knee is fine. We don't need you getting hurt again. Kevin Acee is saying on Twitter right now, Will Myers placed on the 10-day right knee inflammation. He has been less optimistic about his knee than Bob Melvin. Just hasn't responded to treatment and the injection. Brent Rooker being recalled from AAA. So, Will Myers, what I like about Will through pretty much his entire time with the Padres is he has been pretty dang honest with the media. When he sucked, he said he sucked. When he was put as the leader of the team in 2016 or whenever, he admitted, I think it might have been the year before or year after that, but he still admitted, I'm not that leader. I just am better as someone in the background, just a player on the team. So he's been honest. And he was honest earlier this year with Bob about Bob Melvin, right? And how it does make a difference how the manager is not in the clubhouse with the players, right? Um, and he allows the players to be themselves in there, and he's not talking to players a lot in the office. It's on the field, right? And he didn't feel like that was really the case with former managers. So he's an honest guy, and so when he's being less optimistic about an injury, you know that okay, this injury is probably not great. Um, how long is he going to be sidelined? Who knows? If Brent Rooker plays well, probably for a little bit longer, just so he's fine. They make sure that he's fine. Um, I mean, it's not like it's like Manny Machado with this injury, right? Where okay, maybe you should rush him back. Manny, like he plays through injury. Maybe you should put him, in. Will Myers, what has he done? He hasn't been spectacular this season. I don't think so. I think if this is a big opportunity for Mazzara, right? He's the starting right fielder now, and then for Rook to be, the backup right fielder or DH at bats, play well, and you'll be on this roster. And maybe if he continues to play well, maybe they decide to let go of Sergio Alcantara or not have him on the big league roster in favor of Rook, Myers, and Mazzara. You know, I know they want that extra infielder, so probably not. But I don't think that they can leave that chance out, right? You're not just keeping Myers in AAA. If Myers comes back and he's healthy and Mazzara and Rooker are doing good, then why not be open to keeping those three guys on? That would be my thoughts on that. Yeah, you're right, Skies. So you have a lefty righty split in right field. Brent Rooker, he bats right. Mazzara's a lefty, so you're right on that. And both have power. So both strike out some, but I feel like Mazzara is more of a contact guy than Rooker. So if you want more contact, kind of like Nola and Alfaro, I know both of those guys are righties. But if you want more contact, want to be safe, you put Mazzara out there. But based on matchups, if both are playing well, then you're going to go Rooker probably. I don't know the splits off the top of my head, but Rooker will go then against lefties, and Mazzara will hit against righties. So Mazzara will probably get the majority of the playing time. Um, but Rooker's going to get a chance here because Will Myers, if it's retroactive to June 1st, then that means that the earliest that he can come off the injured list is next Friday. No, next Saturday, I think, June 11th. That's when they have the doubleheader, and in the doubleheader they can use an extra player on the roster. So maybe that is a convenient time to put him back. See how he feels, and you could still have Mazar and Rooker up. We'll see. And then remember Sunday, Clev's probably going to get activated to start that game, and so Steven Wilson's probably going to be sent down. So those are moves to keep into account as well. Any more reaction to this Will Myers news? Myers on the IL for anyone just coming in. Brent Rooker called up from AAA El Paso. Sky says, thoughts on Alfaro being the primary catcher and just letting Nola be the Darvish battery. Is that enough rest for Alfaro? I don't think they're going to do that personally because I think that they like they like Nola better defensively, like as a catcher, literally, than Alfaro. And I think they would prefer to have a little more rest for Alfaro. But in terms of offense, if you need offense late in games, I think they're going to be scared to pinch hit Alfaro for Nola. Have Alfaro come in. If Nola's starting games, they're losing in the 8th inning, Nola's spot is up. You put Alfaro in there as the catcher, and maybe that's what you do. I don't think that they should be scared to do that because Alfaro is just the better option at the plate right now. He's playing better offensively. He's not terrible defensively either. Yeah, you say Nola has zero threat on the base pass and throwing out runners. I disagree with the throwing out runners part. Anthony says, great timing. Thanks, Ben. Just got back from my lunch break. I'm sitting at my desk listening to the show. That's too bad for Will Myers. He's like an old racehorse just running out of time. I don't know about that. I think he's just dealing with the knee issue. I appreciate, by the way, you tuning in at your desk at work. Yes, Will Myers has played with the Padres. He's the longest tenured Padre. And yes, he does have years on his body. But players deal with injuries all the time. And sometimes you just can't play through some injuries. Like Manny, I think he dealt with a shoulder issue for pretty much the entire year last year. Manny is younger than Will. And, the knee, that takes some toll on you. If you have a knee injury, you're running all the time, every day. I know it's not basketball, but you're still running out to the outfield and still turn on that knee when you're hitting and all. That can maybe affect you more than like a shoulder sometimes. If it's like non-throwing shoulder or something like that, I'm not in that spot, so I don't know, but I would think that the knee issue would affect you not just in the field running wise, but base running, those fast turns, starting and stopping, and then at the plate as well, um, with the swing, and Will has that violent swing. So that would be my initial thoughts on the knee issue. And the Padres, they have that depth in the minor leagues right now in AAA with the outfield in Rooker and Mazar. I think that's kind of why they're comfortable with doing this and bringing Brent Rooker up because they think that he can do it, that he can hold the water, if you will. He was with the Twins last year at the major league level. He's been at the major league level before. Same with Mazar. So they must like what they're seeing out of Rooker. Now, I know that technically this is like their third option, right? They brought up Thompson first off when Will got hurt earlier. this year. And then they brought up Mazzara in place of Cano, and now Rooker's the third option. So I understand that he wasn't at the top of their totem pole, but I'm confident that Rooker can hang in there at the major league level. So that's another what to watch for. Will Brent Rooker be with the team today? Will he get a pinch hit at bat? Will he? I would think that they'd try to get him in there as a DH maybe tomorrow or Sunday if they're going to have Mazzara play Saturday and Sunday in right field. But that's definitely something to look at. So that's something to leave with you. Leave you with. Nomar Mazzara and Brent Rooker look like the right field tandem right now for the Padres with Will Myers on the injured list. Enjoy the game tonight. This has been the Talking Friars Padres Brewers pregame show for June 3rd, 2022. I am your host, Ben Fadden. I hope you subscribe to this YouTube channel for daily Padres content, at Talking Friars again on Twitter for all of those highlights during the game. All right. See everybody. Enjoy the game tonight.